Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to We Synced It.
I think it.
Yes, it is a weekly podcast that focuses on all movies, TV, and entertainment in between. I am one of your hosts, Pat.
And this is Kev.
And how is everybody doing today? Thank you. You're far too kind. What's going on, Kevin? How are you doing, bro?
It's a beautiful Sunday.
Yep.
We're winding down towards the end of summer.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of entertainment stuff to talk about.
Hell yeah, man. So last week, at the end of the podcast, we went to an Incubus concert while they were actually doing a Rolling Loud in South that went fucking awry with people getting water bottles thrown at them. We went to another we went to a concert that was quite the fucking opposite of that. That was my first Incubus concert. I never planned in my life to ever go to an Incubus concert, but Kevin told me, "Yeah, man, just go. You got the ticket for me," and I saw Sublime and Incubus, and I got a little lit. I got a little lit by the fans of Sublime and Incubus, and dare I say it, I think those fans are way better than Rolling Loud fans.
So I think it's also because of our age.
Oh yeah.
I think this was a completely different age group that was at the Incubus concert. It was people from our generation, people that were born in the 80s. So everyone had their lawn chairs, everyone sat back and relaxed. And I think now I've reached that age where like that's all I want to do. I don't want to go to a concert where I get
I think that you probably got like contact high just based off of there was a time when I was sitting down in the chair, and then I look at you because we're about to go get another drink, and you were like, "This is the life, man." And he was just sitting down in the chair as I think it was Sublime that was playing, and he was just like, he was on cruise control.
I think I literally said, "This is the chillest I've ever been, and I don't want to ruin it."
Yeah. Yo, I started dying laughing. Me and Jesse started dying fucking laughing as we were walking up there. But it was, the concert was just, it was. Now I understand when people say, "Yo, just good vibes." Before, I used to just be a person like, "What the fuck are you talking? Good vibes." Have you seen the Dow Jones? Are you talking? What the fuck are you talking? Good vibes. Yeah, so that shit was a great concert. I'll tell you one thing. Those fucking those blunts, man, made me so fucking hungry. I think that's the hungriest I've ever been. Like, and it was like instant. And I'm not like a newcomer to like fucking marijuana or anything like that, but for some reason, it felt like my body was eating itself as we were listening to Incubus. And you know what pissed me off about it? They never played my one song that I love from Incubus, Lights Action Transaction.
Well, we did leave early though.
How early did we leave?
No, we left really early. Like I think we left like 45 minutes early. They still had a lot of songs to play. We left because we wanted to beat the traffic. Like out of all the hits, we heard a good 7 or 8 radio hits of theirs, and they were like, "Bro, there's gonna be a lot of traffic, so let's leave now to beat it." And so we left. But it was still a really good festival or concert, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think I've reached that age where like that's the only way. I want to sit down on my lawn chair and just relax. If this was like 15, 20 years ago, I would have been at Rolling Loud instead. I would have been at Rolling Loud, and I would have. Yeah, 100%.
I feel that the Rolling Loud, crowd is like, they are they are fucking wild. They are Mad Max. They are.
But we used to be wild.
They are not like that. Not like that. We used to be Wiz Khalifa, young, wild, and free. Not like what they are now. I don't know what kind of wild they got, but that shit is fucking like. It seemed like that wild that they are it's like a privileged wild.
Do you think social media has anything to do with that? Like, we need to get wild so that this can go viral?
Oh yeah, I think that has something to do with it. I think incarceration, the COVID lockdown that we were in for some people were in for like a whole fucking year. I think that has to do with it, and it's just a compound of just like stressful situation, and this was everybody's escape kind of thing. Because that dude who was just standing on top of that freight, the way that those people were throwing bottles at him, it felt like if those things were rocks, that dude would have been knocked the fuck out. They even threw a trash can at him. I don't know why he was up there, but that shit just happened. So it's I was talking to Calvin yesterday, and he told me because I was talking about Rolling Loud, and he goes to concerts, and he's a fan of like mosh pits and shit like that. And he told me something like, he said, yeah, man, he said, yo, people usually don't get hurt in like mosh pits and stuff like that, or do anything like that, because he said that's why I prefer going to heavy metal concerts rather than going to like hip hop concerts, because it's like it's a new era of moshing in hip hop concerts. He said people are doing it, but they're doing it like in a way of they're just trying to find like joy kind of thing. They're just trying to find like oh, this is fun, this is new, I'm just doing this shit, but they're hurting other people. He said, but heavy metal concerts, they've been doing this shit for a while, so now it's come to a point that it's like, all right, we're doing this, but there's like rules set. You can still have fun, but yo, it's no longer the Wild West. Like, yo, let's do this shit and try not to hurt anybody. Cause at the heavy metal concert, he said that there's motherfuckers out there who are just like, they're moshing, but they're fucking enforcers. Like if they see that you're doing some shit, they'll come at you and you just get fucking trucked. You get trucked, and it's like, god damn, that's it. Like, nah, you're done because you over here fucking up people. But I can't see that shit at a hip hop concert. And on top of that, he said that there's more egos involved. Like a hip hop concert, you might see somebody who you don't like, or somebody who's doing some shit that you just don't fuck with, kind of stuff. He said that doesn't really happen at a rock concert, which we almost got into the talk about, you talking about like some black stuff that happens at black concerts compared to he said, I'm not saying that, because there's two black dudes talking about that. We don't want to bring it up, but it's like it's on the back burner, bro. It's one of those things that you think it could be possible, but it's like, no, that can't be it. It has to be something more deeper than that. It's always deeper. If it's ever shallow, nah, there's something underneath that shallowness. So yeah, man, that's why I'm thinking that the Rolling Loud concert was just I don't know, poor management, and a lot of people who just want to express themselves after being locked up for fucking.
A lot of times it's just lack of staff, like that. So I basically found this video that I showed to Pat on TikTok of this kid who jumped on top of a freight container and decided, I'm gonna be a badass, and then people started throwing stuff at him, and he wouldn't want to come down. It was almost like he was challenging the crowd, like, yo, you're not gonna make me get off this thing. And then like more stuff started getting thrown at him. It's like, yo, where's security? Where are the cops? Like, why did they allow it to go on that long? A lot of times I think it's just lack of employees, lack of security, lack of so many things. Like, it's hard, man. It's hard, especially when you have a crowd that big. You gotta bump up the staffing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that clip was only let's say a minute, maybe the staff got in there afterwards to stop the shit. But they did catch those three people who threw the bottle at Kid Cudi.
Good.
Did you see the
No.
picture of them? They look like South Florida in a nutshell, bro. They look like everybody it's like somebody just like a big ass hand. They just grabbed the scoop of South Florida and just picked it up right there. You see a white preppy dude. You see somebody who he looks ambiguous, and he has braids coming out of his head like that. And then you see a black kid just and they all look like, they will all hang out together because they probably all go to the same school. But it's a classic picture. It's a mugshot of all three of them, and it's fucking hilarious, man. They look like South Florida in a nutshell. It's a pretty cool representation. But yeah, man, that shit is fucking dope. And you know what else is dope? Lights, magic,
Light and Magic.
Yeah.
So last night, I binge watched Light and Magic, which is a new limited series on Disney Plus that you can check out, which focuses on the story of ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. What a lot of people don't know, Industrial Light and Magic is really, if you think about it, the first real effects company that came out of Hollywood. What's crazy was that this company was literally created just for Star Wars. Like George Lucas created his own visual effects company because visual effects companies didn't exist back in the 70s when he was making Star Wars. So he basically gathered a bunch of college students and said, hey, I want to make this movie, but the stuff that I want to do, like, it doesn't exist. Like, we kind of have to create it. And they were like, all right, well, we'll fucking create it. And it's the story about that company and like how they're still the #1 visual effects company in the world and how they've evolved. And in the past, I've always been a huge fan of ILM. I've always been a huge fan of like George Lucas and his story and all of that. But I've seen probably 3 or 4 documentaries already on the story of ILM. This one is by far the best one. Like, I highly recommend it. It was actually directed by Lawrence Kasdan. Lawrence Kasdan is the writer. He was the writer for Empire Strikes Back. He was one of the co-writers of the new Star Wars trilogy. He's actually a very famous figure in Hollywood. And I think he did an amazing job on this documentary series because it really dives in deep on the story about each of those artists that were grouped together for ILM. And like, you see the story behind like the stuff that they had to go through, the struggles. A big thing that I loved about this documentary is you also see like kind of like, I don't want to say the dark side, but yeah, the dark side of it, where like you saw
no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended, but like you saw the arguments, you saw the backstabbing, or not the backstabbing, but like the heartbreak. You know, you have the story of John Dykstra. John Dykstra was the guy that George Lucas went to first. He was like, look, I need you to put together a ragtag team of amazing artists and scientists. And he goes, I got you. Bro, this guy. So in a lot of visual effects movies, like back in the day, like with the old Flash Gordon, the camera was still, and then they would have like a spaceship on strings going like this, flying by the camera. George Lucas was like, no, I don't want that. That looks cheap. I want this to look real, and I want it to be fast. Like, I want these spaceships to be boom, like flying by. Like, I want this to be high intensity. So John Dykstra thought, okay, what if we had the spaceship still, and the camera zooms by the thing really fast? Well, how is that going to be accurate? He had to literally create a camera from scratch, create the technology to make it slide from scratch, and he had to build a computer.
Engineers, bro.
Engineers, dude. He built a computer where you had to type in the calculations. Like, I want it to go from here to here in this many seconds, but it has to dip at this point, and you have to like type in all those calculations, and then the camera would just do it. It literally took him like months, like almost a year, just to build the camera. And then when they finally built it, it was like, okay, now we got to start filming these shots. But by that point, the movie was already due, so they hadn't even shot anything yet. So George Lucas, they show this in the documentary. George Lucas,
stressful as fuck.
George Lucas flies in from England, like he already shot the movie, and then he comes in to see the visual effects. He's like, all right, what do you guys got? They're like, oh no, we don't have anything. We shot like 2 shots so far. And he's like, I've been away for like 8 months, and you're telling me you only took 2 shots. And the guy's like trying to explain to him, like, bro, we had to build all this shit.
Showing you all this?
They show everything, and like you hear the stories about like them fighting and all of that and all of that shit. And then they had to like ramp it up. They split everybody up. Like, all right, you're gonna go work on this shot. I'm gonna work on this shot. He's gonna go build some props. He's gonna, and in the last couple of months, they got everything that they needed. And still George Lucas wasn't satisfied. Like, he saw the movie and was like, I still didn't get everything I wanted. That's why he went back and did the special edition, because it bothered him that he didn't get everything that he wanted. That guy that camera became so important that they used it on Battlestar Galactica. They used it on Star Trek. They used it on all these sci-fi movies. George Lucas goes to make Empire Strikes Back, and he only handpicked from the first team the most important people, and that guy didn't get an invite.
Shit.
And that guy was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, bro, I'm the reason. Like, I was the driving force behind all of this. And because he had that big fight and George Lucas got mad at him, George Lucas didn't pick him. But that technology that he created, ILM owned it. Like, he built that for ILM, even though he named it after himself. He called it the Dijkstra cam because his name's Don. Bro, they brought in the camera for the second movie, and like the team didn't know how to use it. They were like, how do we do this? Like, bro, so you see the bad stuff too in that documentary. It's so fucking good, and like,
bro, that shit got me fucking hot.
Yeah, man. Like, if you think about it, it's like, oh, and then they talk about how like everything went from practical to visual. There's the story about the guy from Jurassic Park that he was a stop motion animator, and then Steven Spielberg's like, nah, we're gonna go digital, and he's just like, but you fucking hired me. I did all the shots. Like, I created all the dinosaurs, and now we're gonna go digital. But what was cool was that Steven Spielberg was nice enough to like, no, but we still need you because you need to teach these computer guys how the dinosaurs are gonna move, because it still looks crappy. Like, how they move is too fake. Yeah. You're gonna teach them how.
If he was to add more frames to it, wouldn't it be more realistic?
Yeah, so this is another heartbreak thing, was that, so that guy always did, you know, a couple shots of stop motion here, a couple shots of stop motion there in the Star Wars movies. This was gonna be his movie where everything was stop motion, and he literally nicknamed it like, this is gonna be my opus. Like, you're gonna see me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, last minute, they're like, nah, we're gonna go digital. They could have done what you said, like, all right, if we film at a very high frame rate, it'll look smooth, but because the digital was so good, they were like, yeah. So it was like, there's a lot of heartbreak in the story. There's a lot of
it's just a changing of the guard kind of thing. It's like, it's heartbreak, but it's like, look where we are right now. It's going from analog to digital for everything. That's basically like us just fucking growing up. Yeah. The fact that like when we grew up in a time where there was no, like, barely anybody had a computer when I was growing up in the 80s, and in the 90s, you know, somebody had a computer here. Nobody had internet in the early 90s. Then mid 90s, people had fucking internet. Fucking not social media, but chat rooms start popping up, like MSN and AOL start popping up. So you're talking to motherfuckers from like across the fucking globe and shit like that, and then we're all here. It's like the whole thing, like things that we don't use anymore just go away, you know, just go to waste in the wayside. But I do like the fact that now everybody is just trying to bring back the old with the new. Like, they're trying to blend it together to make it like kind of look crisp, like how they did Grogu. Yeah. Like it's we have not claymation, but they have puppetry with digital to add it, and it's like, oh, it's a nice fucking touch. It's a nice touch now.
But it's great because the series ends with the Mandalorian and all the stuff that they've done for them, and it's like they keep reminding you why they're the number one company, like the technology that they've created. Because that's the thing about ILM, is that they don't adopt, they create. The technology that they created for the Mandalorian, and like the fact that they don't use blue screen or green screen, that's an actual HD screen in the background. Like, that to me is like, that's now another step. Because one thing that actors have always complained about is that it's hard to act dramatic in front of a green screen because you can't see your environment, so it's hard to react. But now, if you want to be in the desert, they can make a desert background, they could put a space background, and it's more believable for the actor, and the performances end up becoming a little bit better. But what's also great is the footage that they show from the first team. Like, bro, you see them fucking around on set. You see them like on a hot day, like they basically got kind of like the containers that you use for your equipment, but they had a big one, and they literally filled it up with cold water because it was like 100 degrees in that warehouse. And they just jumped in like if it was a hot tub, but it was so small, like they were jam-packed. And like you see all this footage of them like on, you know, doing a water slide at the warehouse and doing all this crazy shit. And it kind of reminds me of when we were in film school, like all the shit that we used to do other than making videos and stuff, like all the times that we fucked around. Like it reminded me of that. Also, what was really cool is you get to see all the stuff that was born out of ILM. you know, John Knoll. John Knoll was the effects supervisor for Terminator 2. He was one of the people responsible for the Liquid Terminator and all of that. Bro, he ended up creating Adobe Photoshop. That's the guy that created Adobe Photoshop, was the guy that did the visual effects for that Liquid Terminator. And like, to think that out of ILM came the Edit Droid, which then became Avid, which was like the first digital nonlinear editing system. Out of it came Photoshop, and like they explain that they show all of that in the documentary, and it's like, bro, that company really did change the world and how movies are made, because Avid, you know, that's one of the biggest editing softwares for television and movies. Photoshop, I can't think of anyone who works in the film industry who's never touched
lingo,
Photoshop.
Bro. Photoshop is the fucking lingo. When you say, oh, can you photo, I don't know if people still use that shit, but I remember people say, oh, can you Photoshop that pic? No, that picture is
People
Photoshop.
still use it. People 100%.
Yeah, that fucking picture is Photoshop. It's fucking lingo.
It's become synonymous with editing. Instead of saying like, can you edit this? They say, can you Photoshop this?
Yeah, and everybody know what the fuck you're talking about when you say it. Like, oh, that picture's Photoshop. Yeah.
And it's cool because in the beginning of the documentary, you see like the first initial team, and it was like less than 20 guys. Like, it was just like a really small group. The documentary ends with ILM now, and it's thousands of people. It's a shot of like thousands. The team is like 1,500 strong. Like, it's crazy. It's amazing.
I wonder if George Lucas looks back at his career and sees how many people he has given jobs just based off an idea that he had for his space drama.
Bro, oh, that's another big thing that they actually do show that. So one of his first people that he picked, he picked this one guy. He's like, look, I need you to draw storyboards. I need you to draw matte paintings for Star Wars. It was Joe Johnston. Joe Johnston was part of ILM, worked in the drawing team and stuff like that. Then he kind of got burned out, and he's like, look, I made so much money working on your movies. I think I'm going to retire, man. I think I'm going to go travel the world and just spend my money, because I made all this money off of your movies and I haven't been able to spend it because I've been working back to back.
Yeah.
George Lucas told him, don't you want to like finish film school though? And he's like, oh yeah, but I kind of feel like I've been in film school this entire time working for your company. He's like, George Lucas told him, I will pay for your film school. I will pay for your film school if you just stay on. I'll pay you a little bit less here. You'll work less, but I want to pay for your film school. He took the offer, finished film school, and got a job offer to direct Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And it was because George Lucas kind of like gave the Disney company, like, said, hey, hire this guy. Like, he's going to be your guy. That guy ended up also directing Captain America, the First Avenger, the first Captain America movie.
Really?
Yeah, that's the same director. Like, his career started because of that. Yo, like, there's a lot of fucking cool stories that comes out of that documentary that you're like, damn, bro, that's fucking badass. Like,